Hi, I'm Susan Kennard, and welcome to the Spiritual Awakener podcast. This is a podcast where I get to interview really amazing people. They've all had turning points or spiritual awakenings in their life that have led them to be of service to the collective. The reason why I started this podcast was because I wanted to share my spiritual awakening story, how I was woken in the night at age 27. And if you haven't heard my spiritual awakening story, it's on episode 1 of The Spiritual Awakener. So I really want to introduce my next guest. She happens to be a very dear friend of mine, my beautiful friend, Corrinne. She has been in my life for several years now, and we've watched each other grow and transform. And this is one of the things she does for you. She helps you heal and transform. So I'm going to introduce you now to my very, very good friend, Corrinne, and she's going to tell you all about her spiritual awakening and how she can help you heal on your journey. Hey, doll. I never introduce anyone as hey, doll, but I can with you because you're one of my best friends.
Yeah.
So great to have you here. You were actually here when I first started the podcast 2 and a bit years ago. You were one of my first guests. So it's kind of really nice that 2 years later, you're back on. And we've both really journeyed and traveled over these years and expanded who we are and really helped so many more people. So just tell us, what do you feel was one of the significant turning points that led you to kind of awaken in your life?
Yeah, well, definitely the one that I spoke about last time was when I couldn't conceive, or I couldn't hold on to a pregnancy for the second time. I had my son, but I really wanted a second child, and it wasn't happening. And I was getting older and older, and I was told, was under the fertility specialist, that it wasn't going to happen without IVF. So at that point, I started to really, I've always been a holistic therapist, to look into how I could heal my body. And that's where I did heal my body on a physical level, an emotional level, or the emotions on a mental level. Like, I changed my negative thinking, because I was always thinking this is never going to happen. And spiritually as well, I let go and handed it over to the universe.
And that's one of the key things, isn't it? It's like, we've definitely learned this over the years. And I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, that the ask and it is given bit, you kind of hear a lot, but it's actually really true. We have to let go. But what Corrinne did was she healed her emotions, her thinking patterns, her physical body. And I think, that's one of the things that sometimes people leave out, don't they, is actually working with the physical body. So what did you do, would you say, was a really pivotal point of cleansing and healing your body?
It was cleansing the liver. I think I really cleansed the liver by fasting and just eating all natural foods. I didn't have any dairy, really, just really cleansed the whole of my system so it could be clear. Because I had a thing called group B strep as well, which is kind of bacteria with my son. So I might have had a little bit of that in my body. I'm not sure as well. But just by cleansing it all out as well, it just made sure, it just, my energy,
reset you, kind of like it reset you. Yeah. And emotionally, obviously, when we're physically healing, we're resetting as well. And it kind of works in tandem, doesn't it, together?
Well, I think you've got a physical body, a mental body, an emotional body, and a spiritual body, and you have to, everything needs to align, which is where my Connect therapy was born.
So talking about the birth of a child, which actually did happen, and we know and love her very much, a wild child that we have in our collective.
9 years old now.
She's what?
Nearly 9 years old now.
Nearly 9 years old now. I know. So it's like it does its rounds, doesn't it? Like, so you gave birth to a child, which really we might say is like a miracle, really, because you were told that wasn't going to happen. And then you gave birth to a new baby, but not a physical baby, but actually Connect therapy. So tell us about that.
Yes, that's just where I work. It is so bespoke. It's hard to explain how it's exactly going to work with someone
Tailored to people.
because it's tailored to exactly what's going on with you and what you need to heal and what you're blocking. But I can work hands-on. So the physical part would be the massage. Or I can also work online now, which I've developed with your help and through lockdown and everything, of really expanding my skills. So now I've
like this really. So, you know, like if you're listening to this on video, then you've got it on YouTube and across social. But if you're listening on audio, essentially, you know, all my work's on Zoom all over the world. And Corrinne's the same as well now. So she does both. What she's saying to you is she does this, but so you can be anywhere in the world. You don't have to be in the UK where we're actually recording this, but you can be anywhere in the world to do work with her, or you can actually be here in the local community of East Sussex, we'll call it, where she actually physically can work with you. So, you know, there's no barrier, is there, for that?
No. So that was born, say, through lockdown, where I really, I couldn't work hands-on. And so I continued on all of your Sparkle to Success courses. I mean, every week for I don't know how long I went on your channeling and mediumship.
The guides and the mediumship channeling course, and actually all the processes, you know, that are really evolving, but they're now in my new book, aren't they? Awaken the light within your heart. So, you know, they kind of evolved with us as they're evolving all the time with you.
Yeah, exactly. And through that, I because we tune into people, so there'd be a group Zoom. Many people would get family members, you know, past family members, but I always just seemed to hone in on what was the body and where they were holding their energy and what the block was. And it just from then made me realize, well,
that's your gift. That's your gift and ability. That's
what I start my course of treatment with. I'll tune into the body and see where that block is, and then through the sessions we unravel it, because it's always it's intertwined in our life. It come out within our relationships, within our health. It will always go back to this kind of core block.
That's a really good point, actually, because we, you know, and we're a work in progress, right? We're still working on ourselves, and you know, we're very blessed because we do it every day of the week, and we're really honored to work with clients, because as we're working with them, we're healing at the same time, right? But it's an ongoing process. But if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I've done loads of work, so have we, done loads of work on ourselves. You know, I've tried this, I've tried that, maybe I've tried talking therapy, maybe I've tried whatever. Actually, it is such a time now, isn't it, to really shift your frequency. And so it doesn't matter what you've done, it's all led you to the place that you are now. But actually, one of the things that Corrinne and I vouch for it totally. I mean, she works with my daughter. You know, we work together, we do all sorts of stuff. You know, she has a really amazing ability. And the guides reminded me of this, is the laser ability. So the guides were saying it's like a laser vision, I would say, is what I'm saying. So when you're scanning someone, and stay on this podcast and listen, because Corrinne's offering a free gift. So stay on and listen, because she's going to offer a free gift near towards the end, which you don't want to miss. But a laser ability to hone in to the causal point, would you say?
Yeah, which I think, like you're saying, we always work on ourselves. It's never done. It's always going to be there.
It's always going to be there.
It never goes away, no matter how much work you do. But it's your understanding of it and going, oh, okay, this is my causal. But what have I learned in the way to overcome this?
It's a journey, right? It's a journey. It's the journey.
Continuous. It's a bit like saying, well, I'm going to healthy eat for a couple of years and then I'll be healthy and I won't healthy eat it. It's the same kind of thing, you know. Say it's that physical body, that emotional body. This is the emotional, spiritual work to keep up.
Is it, would you say it's something that, you know, I would say more and more people are awakening, you know, awakening to realizing that the mind is not separate from body. And the soul is not separate from mind and body as well, that we're this unified being, soul having a human. So more and more people, if you're listening to this and you're new to spiritual awakening, then you're in the right place, because actually you are a soul having a human experience, but it may be time now for you to experience some deep transformational healing, because as you raise your frequency, you're actually going to realize so much more about why you're here in the world. And I don't know what you've noticed, Corrinne, but I've definitely noticed that with people, that they're really waking up.
Yeah. When I talk about what I do now, I've got so much interest, where before it was a little bit of and especially as I go into more, as we go through the Soul Freedom program, it's not what's happening in this life, but also what have you brought into heal, because your soul, like you say, chooses to come into this human body to help with this causal thing. So it's,
and what you don't know, do you? So you might go through on your program, you might go through those ones, and maybe there is a sense that maybe there is a sense of childhood, or in Corrinne, in your case, you knew that you wanted to have another baby, etc. You had a focus for it, and so whoever comes on it will have a focus. But what's uncovered on that journey is not always what somebody thought they were going to uncover, right?
Yeah. And the more you uncover, it's like the more deeper work you do, the more you put yourself out there, and the more you'll step up your life.
Which happens to us all the time, doesn't it?
Exactly. I would have never been doing this if I hadn't done the work on myself. So
exactly.
you continually, it puts you further into what you're really meant to do.
Yeah, exactly. And who you're meant to be in the world. That's and everyone's shifting to the next level. So wherever you are in your life, you're shifting to the next level. My book's coming out this year. That's a different level for me, a new experience. For you, it's like expanding to this new way of being, which is really expanding and working internationally online, which is really incredible, because it means you can reach more people, which is really important.
Yeah, it's more a sense of, as well as all of that, I think for a lot of people, a sense of just feeling happy and inspired, and life has meaning. It's about that. Like sometimes you can just feel a bit
a drudge of life. But so many people giving up jobs. I mean, like we're recording this on the 5th of May 2022. So if you're listening to this after, then this is a time where we're in the middle of eclipses, and it's been really really emotionally pivotal for lots of us, and so this is a time where people are going, well, I'm going to give up that, I'm going to leave that relationship, I'm going to go and exercise, I'm going to this. And many people are saying, I need to work on my self-love and my self-worth, which is an ongoing journey.
Yeah exactly.
So just tell us a bit about, so if someone was interested in doing this, and we'll do the free gift shortly, but if someone's interested in doing this, they would how many sessions would they have? Let's just say, from the perspective of, if you were doing it online, what would people get?
So in the package, it's 6 sessions, and usually about 2 weeks between each is about right, but we kind of, again, of what feels right, because sometimes there might just, you need a bit of time for what work we've done to kind of heal and settle before you're ready for the next session.
An integration, kind of like an integration.
Exactly. Before we're ready to go, it's like a level, like you're saying, it's going to the next level of so a couple of weeks in between, but not leaving it too long, because they all have to work together. But so it starts with the energy scan, and we work out what the block is, and then we kind of look at what contraindications you might have, what health issues you might have, really look at the psycho-emotional reasoning behind that, and then we delve into some of those emotions behind it. And I also work really intuitively. So what I learned from I can actually see energy. So when I'm working with you, and that's how I can do it online, I see the colors really clearly, and also working with your color changing.
Color energy clearing process.
I have a sense of what that emotion is because of the color, and the color often changes when I'm tuning into people. And I also see the energy moving by, I know when we're doing some work, I can see either releasing like little droplets coming up and moving out. So I know that the work's going deep enough. Otherwise, we need to do a bit more deep work. It's not moving. It's
like your indication.
It can be very dark sometimes, which is very old stuff.
Very old. Yeah.
Or it can happen the other way. I can see the droplets going in, so I know that then
receiving
is going in. And I work with all of my guides as well, and I really call them in, before the session, so I know that they're really,
present with you. Yeah. Because we all have our guides, don't we? But we just, some of us don't realise that we have that team of help, that we can call in at all times. And what would you say? So, for example, maybe someone, obviously not talking about them personally, but an experience that someone might have had on your program. What could you say?
So one lady, this was right in the beginning, she was having nightmares every single night. Every single night for 2 years, she had the same nightmare just before she went to bed. So it really affected her life. She didn't come to me for that reason. So this is when I first started discovering. But she came just for a massage. And then we really delved into the emotional reasons behind it. And it's very much at the bottom of the work that I do. It's just acknowledging those emotions and accepting them and loving yourself for them. Because it gets stuck, energy gets stuck, which causes the block, which then other things happen.
Did it trigger then? So you kind of she had this stuck energy, which was creating the nightmares. And obviously don't tell personal things, and of course I know you wouldn't, but what was it? Was it this lifetime? Was it a previous lifetime that was tricky?
Actually, in the earlier days where we didn't go back into this. So it was.
Oh, we did it. It
was this lifetime, but that's one of the, the earlier stages of it when I realised that what we can actually do when we delve in to these emotions. Another lady having really bad anxiety, and she couldn't get in her car and drive. Now she can drive and everything. Again, it's feelings that we're trapping in.
And this one with the nightmares, so presumably she no longer had the nightmares and she could sleep. Perfect. And then somebody who couldn't drive or had anxiety driving. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I've had this all my life, maybe you want to travel actually, and you haven't been able to get on a plane. Obviously we haven't been able to for a couple of years, but now we can. So maybe you're thinking, well, I have this fear of flying. I've had that all my life. Of course, that's what I'm going to have, or maybe not, right? And what other things, Corrinne? What other, just to give people some ideas?
Physical things. So another lady was having really bad pain, in her mouth. She couldn't really, excruciating pain. She thought she needed some kind of dental work, but they were saying that it wasn't. And again, we just went through and healed some emotions or get to accept some emotions that she needed to accept. And it was something totally different that you had no idea that it was coming out in this mouth pain, but it gone. It said to her, afterwards, she said to me, it's totally gone now.
And that's incredible, isn't it? But we also have to remember, if you're listening to this, then neither Corrinne or myself claim to heal or cure. What we're doing, we're not doctors and we don't claim to heal or cure. There's a disclaimer there, because if you're coming to Corrinne or myself and you have a physical problem, then obviously you need to take responsibility for that as well. But we, and Corrinne especially, will look at that emotion associated to it. And that's really important to say, because it could be that your physical body needs to see a medical practitioner as well. And I see people that are seeing medical practitioners and working with me. So I know you do as well, Corrinne.
So it's having those four bodies, the emotional, the physical, it's all, and they all work together. So someone might say, well, I've got a physical pain, but I know I've done it when I was doing this thing physically. But quite often the emotional reason behind it made it a weak spot in the first place for them.
And would you say as well, would you say toxicity? I mean, you had to clear your liver, and we know the liver is the planner of the body, so it made sense that you were actually drawn to do liver cleanses and detox and stuff to create our little wild child, which we love. So you had to do that. Would you say that, there's a lot of toxicity in people's experiences now, emotional,
Yeah.
physical, definitely toxicity that needs clearing out, that might be creating these, aches and pains and stiffness and headaches and things like that as well?
Yeah, it all combines. It's not just one thing. It always is a combination of everything building up, isn't it? Because there is so much toxicity around, chemical in everything at the moment. So
they have the 6 sessions, and they can be spaced out. And I presume you could be quite flexible with that. If somebody
yeah,
wanted one the
exactly.
next week, they could have one. But actually, you're
Yeah,
suggesting it has a little bit of a space in between, which I would say is probably really good because it
yeah,
allows them to integrate and for things to come up, right?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So they'd be working with you for that period of time. And how, could you give your website where if people are listening to this and they want to have a look now quickly while they're listening, what's your website?
So it's Freedom with Corrinne, or one word, and Corrinne is spelled CORRINE. So it's freedomwithcorrinne.com.
Brilliant. Freedomwithcorrinne.com.
And
Yeah.
there is under Soul Freedom, the Soul Freedom program, it gives you an outline of the steps that we take.
Perfect.
It is quite sort of basic, the steps, because like I said, it really depends on what happens.
It's generic on the screen,
Yeah.
but actually when you're actually working with people, it's really hard, isn't it? Because everyone's individual and everyone's unique. And I think this is a really good moment where we can actually say, look, actually, Corrinne is actually offering a free gift, which then you can have that, and tell us about in a sec, Corrinne. You can have that, experience it, and then you can book in, and have your 6 sessions with her on the program. So what's the free gift that you're only offering my listeners? They have to mention the Spiritual Awakener podcast. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they can email me at Corrinne. So it's Corrinne at Freedom with Corrinne. Again, 2 R's and 2 N's in my name. Have a
.com.
.com. Yeah. Corrinne at freedomwithcorrinne.com. Email me with a recent photograph, because I will pick up on your energy. I can do it without a photo, but it's much more precise with a photo as well. And more recent, because otherwise I've done it before and I've picked up on what was going on for them around the time
at that age, right? Yeah.
The time the photograph was. So
perhaps one they can just take a snapshot of themselves, like literally on their phone, and email it to you. And you'll do, I mean, this is an incredible gift, guys. Definitely take Corrinne up on this. So you just mentioned the Spiritual Awakening podcast. You then take a photo of yourself now, like in the now moment. It doesn't matter. She's not going to analyze what your hair looks like or anything. No, so it can be anything. Just your energy. Send it over to Corrinne, and she's going to scan it. And what are you going to do in that? Just to give people an idea of what you're going to be, tuning into.
Well, I will always tune into, first of all, it will be giving me the crux of the block.
Problem. Yeah. So the issue, the block. Yeah. What's going on for them? Okay.
Yeah. Good. Which isn't always, people think, oh, no, that's not a problem for me, but because you've hidden it and you've buried it.
Exactly.
And that's why
it's the deepest part. Yeah. So that sounds like absolutely fantastic. And what happens after that? What happens after that? Do you email them back?
Yeah, or we just have a little 15-minute Zoom chat. I can just go through it, what I've picked up on.
Amazing.
And we just talk about it, and then we move forward with the program if you'd like to. And then we work through the layers. So it's kind of like we work from the bottom up, because we go to the room.
That's amazing.
And we work from the bottom up to unravel how it's played out in your life and different things that might be happening. How it might be affecting your relationship or your health, or they say we're all different. It's not always going to affect people's relationship. It's not always going to affect people's health. For me, it affected with fertility. There's always going to be, something, because it's very bespoke. It's a very unique and bespoke service
tailored to you
to help you move forward. And even if you haven't got a problem, it's just basically really moving forward within your life.
Yes, it just takes you to the next part of your journey and your expansion. So, I mean, definitely take Corrinne up on this offer, email her, because even if you need to feel it's right for you, and sometimes it's nice to actually have that contact with that person before you do the work with them, so you're not going to be disappointed, you're going to love it. And I know you're going to want to, really invest in this and spend the time with her and get her to really help you, whatever it is you need to heal. Okay, Corrinne. So really, when we look at this, you're going from, as we all have, these incredible spiritual awakenings, these turning points in our life, that you went from that situation that took you on a journey of creating our beautiful child that came into the world, and you have another one as well. We both have two kids that are good friends with each other, and you did that, and then your life just transformed and went through its own experiences, as it always does. But it led you, the key thing I feel for everyone to hear is it led you to use that spiritual awakening as it did with me. And it's your gift. It's your Chiron return we always talk about, but it's your gift, isn't it? Your gift is always the adversity.
Yeah.
So the adversity you experienced, being told no, basically, allowed you to stand fully, and then now incredibly helping the collective so that they don't have to say no.
You can,
so that they can say yes.
Yeah, that you can overcome anything. It just proves that whatever's in your life. And going back to what you said right at the beginning, it's that believing part. It's that surrendering, that handing it over part, because and knowing you're not alone, you are handing it over. They say believing is seeing. Seeing is believing, but actually believing
is seeing.
Believing is seeing. You believe something can happen.
Which is a good I think a good link to talk about, our guides, really, and how our guides work with both of us, obviously directly. But the trust level that we've had to develop with our guidance, is something really important. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I don't even know what a guide is, I don't even know, that I've got them. You've definitely got them, right? It's just that you haven't maybe accessed that frequency yet where you can hear your guides, or you can see your guides, or you can feel your guides, but they're definitely there. And if you're listening to this and you feel really guided for some reason to contact Corrinne, then just trust that your inner guidance, your true higher self, your guidance is actually drawing you, because it is for your highest and best good.
It's the believing thing again, isn't it? It's like, if you don't believe you've got a guide there, then you're not going to hear it.
Exactly.
Just a little story, you might know this one, but before I went self-employed and I wasn't doing what I was meant to be doing, even though I knew this stuff, and I was working in the spa, doing other things, they were tapping on my head. This was my kind of, and I was just like, which is how I met you in the end, because no one understood. I thought I was going mad.
You did think you were going mad. Yeah, you did.
It's the same to my ex-husband, who is now, I'm getting a tap on the head. He's going, yeah, you're imagining it. But that's where it all kind of, they were trying to get my attention. It's like, you've got something important to do. And like I say, just unraveled. Steps just unraveled. You have to kind of follow the breadcrumbs in a way. Like, you don't know where it's all going to end.
No, you don't know. And you can look back on it and you can say, I'm sure if you're listening to this, you can look back on your life, whatever job you've been in, whatever relationship you've been in, whatever situation you've been in, or maybe you've recovered from a disease, a dis-ease that's been created in your body as an incredible message for you to awaken. And you're looking back and you're going, oh my goodness, like 10 years ago, I never would have said that would have happened, or I never would have said I'd be in that country, or I never would have said I'd be doing this. And actually, you can look back and say, it all makes sense. It all makes sense why I needed to experience that. Me being, a psychologist and hiding behind being a psychotherapist for such a long time, and then actually expressing that I spoke to those that are past, and I was a channel for source, and that was stepping out of the spiritual closet. And for you, it was like saying, well, actually, this is who I am. you know, I can actually feel this energy and see this energy, and it was what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks to guides are also saying that, you know, it is also about, and I think you spoke about it as well, it's like living our joy.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you weren't living your full
Mm.
joy when they were tapping on your head,
No.
because it
I
wouldn't have felt free. It wouldn't have felt
no.
where you are. Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't. There's so much
Mm,
depression and unhappy people. So many
mm.
people taking, you know, I would say over the counter drugs, but also other
Yeah.
kind of drugs and
Yeah. As
alcohol
a kind. Yeah.
to
To
numb, but then
numb, to kind of, you know,
it's
shut
a lie.
down, really.
Where
Yeah.
really it's not about numbing it, it's bringing it
Mm.
out. It's bringing it out and
I
uncovering.
think people are trying to connect, to be honest. I think they
Yeah,
are, you know, they're trying to use something to
yeah,
reconnect. But of course, with your, you know, your therapy is about connect. It is about
yeah.
connecting with each other and
It's
really, you know, bringing that soul freedom. So, Corrinne, how can we'll come into the end
yeah.
of our interview, but how can people get a hold of you? You've got your website, but social, have you got social media that you can share?
Yeah,
Your
it's
Instagram?
all Freedom with Corrinne. So that's my Facebook
Okay,
business page is Freedom with Corrinne, and Instagram as well. It's Freedom with Corrinne.
excellent. So it's just that's your brand, Freedom with
Yeah,
Corrinne. And so, you know, look for that, everybody, and definitely email Corrinne. And just for a last thought, you know, is there something that's a last thought for anyone that maybe have found this podcast and, you know, found us and maybe never listened to this before and just stepping onto their spiritual awakening, or they may have had like a big spiritual awakening recently, probably when we're
yeah.
recording this now. What would you say to them?
Yeah, just go for it. If you've got any little part of you that's excited or feeling, yeah, I want to know more, and don't be scared. There's nothing to be scared of, because that's the other thing. People think, oh, I don't want to face my fear. If this is coming up, I want to shove it away. I don't want to, if it's something that's deep rooted, I don't want to go there. It is, there's nothing, we don't go into any pain, we don't do anything. We just literally acknowledge the feelings there, and I can help manipulate the energy so it can move on. So
Please.
everyone comes out of a session feeling lighter, feeling brighter, feeling happier, not the other way around. So don't yeah, don't not do it
Fantastic.
because of any fear. Just really follow that joy and any little inkling of, yes, I could do this.
So the message is follow your joy and know that it can be a yes.
Exactly.
Thanks, Corrinne. Thanks, my beautiful friend.
Find
Thank you
freedom.
for
That's why I'm Freedom with Corrinne, because it's
find your
literally
freedom.
freedom from anything, freedom from whatever it is that might be in your way. Yeah.
Thank you, Corrinne. And thanks so much for, you know, agreeing to be back on the Spiritual Awakener podcast.
Thank you for inviting
So thank you so much for being here and listening to this episode of the Spiritual Awakener podcast. If you've got a spiritual awakening story that you want to share with my audience, I'd love to hear from you. My website is susankennard.co.uk, and you can email me on susan@susankennard.co.uk, and you can find me across social with the same name. So much love for now, and I look forward to hearing from you and sharing my next guest on the Spiritual Awakener podcast. Bye for now.